Hey there, everybody. Jessica Carter here.
And Matt Carter.
And today we're going to be talking about This Is Us and a theory all about Nicky's wedding ring. So there was a big reveal in the finale that we saw that Nicky was wearing a wedding ring sitting by Rebecca's bedside. So today we're going to talk all about that. Some of our theories about that, what that could mean. Is he really married? Is he not married? So if you do like this video, make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up, like, ring the bell, all that good stuff so that you don't miss out on our discussions. Because even though the show is done for the season, we're not.
No, we are not.
Okay, so is Nicky really married? That seems to be one of the biggest theories that's going around right now. And it's actually the theory that I lean the most into. So Rebecca in this future scenario is on her deathbed. Nicky is sitting beside her. Nicky has on a wedding ring. Miguel is nowhere to be found. So originally I thought that maybe Miguel had passed away, and maybe he has. But the more that I've been sort of thinking about now that we have this reveal with the wedding ring, I'm feeling that maybe Rebecca thinks that Nicky is Jack, and instead of correcting her every single time, having to remind her that Jack is dead, like all of this, putting her through that grief over and over again, Nicky has decided to do her a nicety and a kindness and just be Jack, and isn't actually married but is just playing that role to make sure that she's okay and not make her have to relive that Jack has passed away over and over again. So with Miguel, he might be dead, he might have passed away, but if this is the case and Nicky is doing this, there's also the possibility that Miguel is just stepping back from it to allow this to happen for Rebecca, to give Rebecca what she needs to get through this.
I think this is it is a fascinating theory, and I think there's a certain degree of realism to it.
Yeah, I agree, because even like in my family, my Nana has Alzheimer's. She's had it for about a decade now, and she thinks that my mom is my Aunt Sue, and we don't correct her and make her kind of feel frustrated and, upset, sort of not remembering. That can really, it can be very difficult.
And I think the realism in it works. I know what This Is Us really likes to do, which is just take a sledgehammer to everyone's heartstrings at every possible second. And this does it because yet again they find a way to bring Jack into the present, or in this case, the future. And I think they would love to find a way to do that. It would give Nicky an additional purpose in the story. Now, with that being said, I could buy into this theory, and I think it could very well happen, but I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. I do think that Nicky is married. However, I do not believe that Nicky is married to Rebecca. I'm going to go off the board here.
No, I agree. He's not married to Rebecca.
I'm going to suggest that maybe Nicky is married to someone else, because we have effectively decades worth of life for Nicky that we've never really seen on this show. I know he has an ex, I believe her name is Sally, that's been discussed, and I think there are plans to maybe explore that at some point. Maybe Nicky can have it both ways. He could fall in love with someone, or he's already in love with someone. He finds a way to win this person back. They get married, he has on a wedding ring, and then when he's around Rebecca, he could pretend to be Jack if that is something that she needs. I'm sure whoever Nicky would be with would more than understand the situation.
I think so too. Now there's one other theory that is going around, and that is the idea that Nicky is married to Cassidy. Now, at first, we did a video the other day where I was like, I threw it out as kind of like a, haha, maybe he's married to Cassidy. But the more that I've thought about it, the more I've thought that this isn't really that far out of the realm of possibility. Do I think he's actually married to Cassidy? No. But do I think if they put it on the show, would I be like, oh my goodness, this is shocking? No. And the reason why is they have a very close bond in that they are both recovering addicts. This is something that her husband isn't able to really understand. Only Nicky is really able to understand this. They're clearly still in some sort of contact. We saw her coming into the trailer sort of looking a little outside of herself, a little bit sort of disheveled, looking for some sort of help from him. So, I mean, there's still something going on there. Now, I know that there's a large age difference, but to me, that's sort of it doesn't matter. I mean, if people want to be together, they'll be together. My dad and my stepmom, I think they're like 20 years apart. And then you look at other relationships out there that are even just celebrity relationships, like Erica Jane and her husband. I think they're like 32 years apart, and they've been married for like 17 years. I mean, it can work.
I think with this, I think it comes down to compatibility. I think it also comes down to how the two of them see each other. I don't. To me, it doesn't really have anything to do necessarily with age. It just has more to do with the perception of each other. And I think they do have a bond, and I think they have a close relationship. It's just, to me, I've always sort of looked at it more as kind of family, almost as though Nicky, I know he's actually an uncle to Kevin, but he feels like he's almost an uncle to Cassidy in some ways, and it feels like, I don't think she necessarily looks at him as a father figure or anything close to that by any means, but I think they have this sort of relationship that they can kind of selectively lean on each other when the situation calls for it, and they can care for each other, but I think they're still detached enough that I don't think a larger sort of bond could exist there.
The thing that I'm the most interested to see with Nicky going into season 5 is how he actually ends up becoming more integrated into this family. Because right now, the last we sort of saw him, he's been around the family a little bit. And he's been around Kevin quite a lot. And now he's living in Kevin's really crazy, amazing trailer.
Yeah, I know.
So he's still around, but when we see him in the future, he's at Rebecca's bedside. So that tells me that he, over the years, has found a way to become a lot closer to this family. And I'm really interested in seeing how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I feel like you could sort of use a kind of like a pyramid structure for the Pearsons where, at the top of the pyramid, you kind of have the big three and Rebecca, and then sort of below that, you've got Toby, and then, you've got Beth, and then
Miguel should be there too, but he never really
I know.
is. For
some reason, Miguel is like all the way at the very bottom of the pyramid. But I think Nicky right now is sort of there with Miguel in terms of how the show treats him, which is, he's around when he's around, but we don't give him that much to do all the time. But I think for season 5, these two characters, and I'm sure we'll talk more about Miguel at some point, but I think Nicky needs to sort of go up a little bit to one of the higher rungs on this ladder or pyramid or whatever you want to call it. That way, it makes sense for him to be there in that moment, but it also, we should have opportunities to see him bond with people who aren't just Kevin. I mean, let's see what Nicky and Randall in a scene looks like together, because they feel like such opposites.
Yeah, I'd like to see sort of these other relationships grow as well. But with Kevin and Randall fighting, I'm not sure how much more there will be, unless maybe Nicky is the person who's able to kind of come in and bridge this gap. I mean, we'll have a video at another point talking about how we think that this fight is going to get resolved and who might be the person that comes in, or is it maybe a death or something else that brings them together. But I think Nicky's going to have a very big role in Kevin's life going forward. I still think that when Kevin has his big house, I think that Nicky's living in the small cabin right beside it. I think that the relationship that these two are going to have is going to be so strong.
Yeah, I could easily see Nicky being sort of the person to bring them together, but I know there's a lot of other possibilities that we'll talk through. But I could easily see that. It's an interesting idea. But I think with Nicky moving forward, we have at least 2 confirmed seasons coming up, and that
Yeah.
means over 30 episodes. I think there's enough time amidst all of that to give us a dedicated episode to sort of exploring his past. You can bring the young Nicky back. We haven't seen him in a long time. You can sort of dive into all of that, but then ultimately tell the story about how he sort of finds and seeks out his own happiness, because he seems content with himself in that flash forward in the future. He doesn't seem as troubled.
Yeah, and I mean, I would really like to see him married and actually married, and that this ring is more than just doing a kindness for Rebecca, and that he does have a wife who's understanding of this situation and is happy to allow this to happen and knows that it needs to happen, to be all part of the family, to be there for Rebecca during this. So, I mean, especially since we've seen Nicky and he's really been such a lone wolf, like, the entire time, and all the timelines we've seen him, he's always getting out in front of himself and kind of being his own worst enemy. And my hope is that the more integrated he becomes into the family, the more footing he finds, and then maybe he's got enough courage to have a relationship.
I think this is an opportunity to change him, to show how far he has come. He has come a long way already since we first met him. And to just remind us further that happy relationships can exist in a lot of different ways. They can exist for people at a lot of different points in their lives. And it's not just the quintessential love story that happens between, 2 people in their 20s. I think it can come about at any point.
Yeah.
So let us cross our fingers and hope for the best. Unfortunately, we're going to be waiting until at least September to find out anything else.
Yeah.
It is a long wait. We will do our best to help in the time being with all sorts of This Is Us theory discussions. We have a lot more coming up. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them. Also, let us know in the comments what you think is going on with Nicky and that wedding ring. And if you want to support us more, check the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.